Good morning, it's Jeffrey. Welcome to this 60-minute Vinyasa style flow. We're going to get started with just kind of settling into our practice. Then we'll connect to our breath, to our warm-up, move into our flow, working toward our peak pose of Warrior 3. We'll give that a couple of goes and see how we feel. And then we'll cool things back down at the end as we move into Shavasana, which is our final resting pose. So today, our attention, our focus is going to be on self-awareness. So throughout the class, I'm going to be encouraging you. Well, first of all, I'm going to encourage myself to move this plant out of the frame. There you go. I'm going to be encouraging you to really feel what you feel, right? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, really try to connect to yourself and connect to the practice and just kind of see what's coming up for you. So I'll be giving cues throughout the entire session to check in with yourself and just kind of see how it's going. This is your practice. You're your own audience when you watch this back on demand. So let's make it about you today. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. Just moving back so that you can see me in the frame. We may get a visitor in the form of my dog. These things happen. We just take it all in stride. We don't get too stressed out about it. Okay, so today I've got a couple of blocks. So I'll be using these props throughout the class. Yeah, I highly recommend you use props, have props at your disposal and practice with them. They make a huge difference in yoga. So we got those going. We've also got a yoga towel or a mat or even a beach towel, just whatever makes sense. And in fact, I'm actually going to start the practice today by folding that up to make a nice little seat for myself. So if you'll join me on your mat, cross-legged, and I'm going to be sitting on this yoga towel because it gives me just a slightly different feel than when I practice just sitting directly on the mat or on the ground. So sometimes in yoga, it's fun just to try the props because they just feel different for your body, and it's fun to check that out. So we want to begin by really grounding our hips, which are our support right now, down into the towel or the mat or the floor. So you really ground down, feel where you're supported, feel where your body is touching the mat. Become aware of those different contact points. Is it, part of my foot? Is it my hips? Is it maybe for some of us part of our thighs? And if the support is not there, if you don't feel fully supported, then you can grab a prop. So I'm going to grab both of these blocks today just for a different vibe. And I'm going to tuck them under my knees. And that really helps me distribute my weight a little bit differently than if I'm trying to hold those knees up or if they're going beyond my hip creases. So with my props in place, I set up nice and tall. I ground down into my hips, really rooting into my practice, feeling how I feel. I bring my shoulders down and back so that my body is nice and long and tall and elegant looking. I'm reaching the crown of my head up toward the ceiling or the sky. My gaze is steady. And your hands can be wherever it makes sense to you. They can be in your lap, they can be on your knees, or they can even be resting alongside my knees on my block. And we're just settling in. We're checking our posture, checking our alignment, seeing how we feel. Might see if there's any tension you're holding in your forehead, kind of scrunching things up, or your jawline might feel tight. So just continue to scan through your body, checking in with yourself and seeing how you feel on the mat today. I used to do a lot of strength training, and my trainer always said, today's legs are not yesterday's legs. And all that means is you come to the mat fresh every single time, and you just see how you feel, and you don't make any assumptions about what your body or your mind or your spirit is ready for until you check in with yourself. Checking in. Now you can soften your gaze if you like, or even close your eyes as you settle in. And I want us to become aware of our breathing. So begin to take nice, steady, slow breaths in and out through your nose at your own cadence, at your own pace. Start to take a couple of deep breaths in and out through your nose. Continue to scan through your body, see how you feel, check in with your mental state. Maybe you fought traffic to get to the studio today. Maybe you have a busy afternoon planned. That's okay. Those things can be there. We kind of let them come into our frame of reference for a moment, and we just let them go if we can. so that we can devote ourselves to just this specific moment in time. Continue breathing here, fully supported. Kind of visualize yourself. Think about what you look like on the mat right now. Some majestic animal like a lion, regal and tall. My dog sometimes when she sets up alert, she looks so regal and proud. So that's how I'm visualizing myself on the mat today, as someone strong and supported and kind of dignified and regal. You need to set whatever image works best for you. Breathing, keep breathing, checking in. We're taking our time. We're in no hurry. Now, when you're ready, go ahead and blink your eyes open if you close them. And you can keep your props exactly where you have them, or you can also move them around, right? We can move our props around throughout our practice to get different sensations and different feelings. We're going to go through a warm-up, and we're going to use the warm-up to really focus on connecting our breath to our movement, which is one of the key things about Vinyasa style yoga, right? We want to breathe and move with particular cadence. So to get started with that, I'm going to begin on my next inhale to take a deep inhale through my nose as I move my arms up overhead. My palms are up. I'm breathing through my nose. You can hang here for just a minute as we figure out the rhythm. And on my next inhale, I flip the palms down and bring my arms back down to my side. Now let's try it together. Inhale, palms up, arms up. Exhale, palms down, arms down. Again, inhale, palms up, arms up. Exhale, palms down, arms down. Connecting our breath with movement. Keep going. I feel like I'm so strong in this pose. My arms are super strong. I could almost, like a giant bird, lift myself right up off the mat and soar up to the sky. Keep breathing in and out as you connect your movement with your breath. Now listen for the change on the next one. We're going to inhale our arms up. And as we exhale, the right arm is going to come down to your side, and the left arm is going to arch up and overhead. Now we're going to do natural breathing here, in and out through your nose. Continue breathing here. Pull that left shoulder back. Gaze up at your hand. Now, if this is uncomfortable, if your left hip is starting to come up off the mat, that's a sure sign that you need a block there or some kind of prop. That helps me kind of almost push against that block to keep that left hip anchored and to continue to be fully supported. Breathing in and out here. On your next inhale, both arms come back up to center. And on the exhale, we go over to the other side. Left hand is down next to you. Right arm reaches up and overhead. Pull that right shoulder back, open up, look up. Check your hips. Where are they? Are you still supported? Do you need a prop? Check in. Breathe. On your next inhale, arms come back to center. And on the exhale, our arms are going to come behind our back. Now, I want your fingertips to be facing towards your body. So they're like this. All right, here we go. And to begin by just sort of settling back. This is a different level of support. We've got some support on our hands and continue to have support on our knees, and we see how that feels. Look up and breathe. And on your next inhale, I want you to lift the hips up off the floor and roll up on your knees and just hold for a couple of breaths. And on your next exhale, you come right back down to the mat. Now breath to movement. Inhale, the hips lift up. You roll up on your knees. Exhale, the hips come right back down. One more. Inhale and lift. Exhale and come back to the mat. And then let's set up again. Now, we're going to switch our feet. So right now, my left foot, my left leg is in front of my right. So I'm just going to swap those out, right? Becoming aware of what my sort of natural inclination is. When I sit cross-legged on a mat, I tend to put my left leg in front, and I'm purposely moving my right leg in front for a different sensation, to just see how that feels in my body and to give my right leg a chance to work a little bit. All right. Once again, you settle in, make sure you got that good posture, open up there, feel good about it. And on your next inhale, sweep those arms up again, all the way up. And on the exhale, the right hand is going to come behind you and the left hand is going to go to the right knee as we set up for a twist. Now, the right arm is really like a secondary spine, right? It really helps keep me nice and upright. And what we're going to do is take a deep inhale and try to imagine elongating our bodies. And on the exhale, gently twist to the right. Inhale, get tall, expand. Exhale, gentle twist to the right. Inhale one more time, get tall, grow that body up. Exhale, twist and hold for a couple of breaths here. Let's inhale both the arms back up to the center and then exhale over to the other side. So now my left hand is behind me. That's my new spine, helping me set up nice and tall. Right hand is on left knee. Inhale, get tall, elongate the body. Exhale, gentle twist to the left. Inhale, feeling tall. Exhale, gentle twist to the left. Last one, inhale, really reach, expand the body. Exhale, gentle twist and hold. Holding here for a breath or two. Inhale both the arms back up to center. And when we exhale the arms behind us, this time the fingertips will point away from the body. And as I settle back into this, it feels different for me. See how this feels for you. I feel much more open across my collarbones and my shoulders. So it's a different feel than when my fingers are pointed in the other direction. So settle in. And on your next inhale, we're going to lift the hips and roll up onto the knees and hold. One more breath here. On your next exhale, come right back down. And now breath to movement. Inhale, lift the hips, roll up on the knees. Exhale, come right back down to the mat. Last one, inhale, lift up. Exhale, come back down to the mat. And let's set back up in our easy pose and just check in. So breath to movement is an important part of what we're all learning to do with Vinyasa style yoga. And that's a great exercise to help you feel that breath to movement. Now, as we transition into our flow, because we're going to take our flow nice and slow, especially the first time through, you may find yourself in the class, all of us, holding for a breath. So we'll still try to connect that breath to movement, but we will have pauses in between to really feel what we feel, right? How does the pose feel for me? Is this a good pose for my body? Do I struggle with this particular pose? That's that self-awareness we're all trying to build into our practice. Aware of what our bodies are telling us that they need, or even just what we feel like we need emotionally. Sometimes I want to feel strong, and other times I want to feel elegant like a dancer, and other times I just want to be. And that's what yoga is all about, letting you get what you need physically, emotionally, and mentally in your practice. Okay, so I'm going to take my two blocks here, and I'm going to move them more toward the top of my mat. So sort of framing my mat on what for me will be the top. So then I'm going to move my towel out of my way. I might stick it up there as well, just sort of be out of the way. And I'm going to find my way onto my hands and knees in a tabletop. Now, when you come into your tabletop, I want you to really spread those fingers wide, very, very wide. So their fingers are fully spread out. And I like to rotate my arms slightly, external rotation, so that my index fingers are pointing toward 12 o'clock. So if I look down, I can see the insides of my elbows kind of looking up at me. Hello. So that little bit of external rotation is going to give me the kind of support I'm looking for when I transition to my downward facing dog. So I want to make sure my shoulders are right over my wrist and that my hips are aligned with my knees. I'm not too far up. I'm not too far down. And in this beginning, I'm going to untuck my toes and press down into the tops of my feet, press into my fingers, press everywhere so that I can relieve some of the pressure off of my wrist. So be sure you're distributing that weight in a good, healthy way. And just settle in, see how it feels. Once you found the pose, we're going to loosen up the hips with some cat-cows. So on your next inhale, I want you to arch your back. The hips come up, they tilt up, and you look up. And on the exhale, dome the back, push the floor away, pull the navel to the spine. Inhale, look up. Exhale, push the floor away. Inhale, look up. Exhale, push the floor away, dome the back. And then we come back to neutral. I call this next move my funky hips move. And really, it's for you. It's for you to feel into your hips, see what they need, and see if you can't give it to them. So I'm going to start out by taking some very slow, big O circles in one direction, and then kind of swinging it back in the other direction. So you could do this. You could also see if I need a little back and forward here. It could be really funky, little tight circles. Just feel into your hips. See if you can figure out what would feel good to them and see if you can give it to them. Just loosening up my hips before I move into my standing asanas. And then we'll come back to neutral. Just like a slight adjustment there on the mat to make sure I don't kick myself or the dog or anything in the room. Always be aware of where you are in space. I can't tell you how many times I've lifted a leg and knocked over a lamp. So what I want you to do is tuck your toes. We're going to tuck our toes in the back, check our alignment, looks good, feels good, and just lift the knees up slightly off the mat and just hover there for a second. I know it's tough, hover, and then pushing back with your hands, lifting your hips up into the air, straightening out your legs into downward facing dog. Now you can adjust once you're here. You can pedal. You don't necessarily have to have your heels on the floor. You can have a bend in your knee if that feels good to you. I try to tell people to really focus on their back. Does your back feel nice and long? Just stretched out there, long back. That's important. And just breathe here. Breathing. And then I want you to look forward between your hands and then walk your feet up between your hands. Nice and slow. Take your time, as many steps as you need. And when you get there, the blocks that we placed at the top could be used to your side here to help with your forward fold. They could be stacked in front of you to assist with your forward fold, or you can move them back to where they are, and maybe we'll come back to them later. So in your forward fold, you want to lay your belly on your thighs. And that means you probably need to have a bend in your knees. Some of us don't need that bend, but most of us, a bend helps us get down into that forward fold and really start to release the back. Take a couple of breaths here in your forward fold. Feel the back letting go. Breathe into the back. Send your breath right into your back and see if you can't create a little space for yourself there. And on our next inhale, we're going to start to roll up nice and slow this first time through, one vertebrae at a time as we move into mountain pose. Head up and then arms up. So we're in Tadasana, we're in mountain pose. We're really rooted into the floor now with our feet. I'm actually gripping my mat with my toes. My legs are engaged, my glutes are engaged. I'm strong in my mountain pose. And I breathe. On your next exhale, we're going to swoop right back down to the floor into our forward fold. pick up the pace just a little. Inhale, your hands slide up to your shins. Your back starts to flatten out as you look forward for your half lift. And then fold right back down over to your forward fold. We're going to step back into a runner's lunge. Again, you can use your blocks if that's comfortable for you. So I'm going to kind of deeply bend the knees, lift my left foot off the floor, and step it back into runner's lunge. Now I'm going to move my block so you guys can see my feet a little bit better. My right foot is nice and flat, really rooted down into the mat there. My right ankle is right over my right knee. My left leg is extended. I'm up on my toes in the back. And my leg is, for me, stretching. My heel rather is stretching toward the back wall. Just trying to feel that stretch. I'm up on my fingertips. You could be down on your hands. And you could, of course, be up on any variation of your blocks as you really enjoy that runner's lunge and see how it feels for you. And breathing here, taking our time, this first time through our flow. And when we're ready, we're going to be sure we have some contact with the mat on our hands as we drop our back knee, our left knee to the mat, and then untuck the toe. We're going to raise up into our low lunge, bringing our hands up overhead, pressing into that back foot for support, pressing into that front foot. Hips are pointed to the top of the mat. Now, when you come up, you can always assist. You can put your hands on your knees, kind of push yourself up to find the pose, find the support, and then breathe those arms up overhead. Let's exhale the hands back down to frame the foot, tuck the toes, and lift the knee. We're going to move into our high lunge. So you can take a little hop forward if you like to shorten your stance. That might help you bring it up. Again, bring it up fluidly on an inhale into high lunge. My back leg is bent. That feels better for me. Stretching it out puts a little too much pressure on my hamstrings. So I feel that. Or you assist up to low and then press up to high. Now I want you to shift the weight forward. That does allow me to elongate that back leg. Move your arms behind you airplane style for this kind of modified high lunge. Then we're going to swing arms forward and up as we step up into Tadasana, back to mountain pose. Bring the fingertips to touch and then lower the hands down to heart center. And catch your breath. We're going to attempt our one-legged Tadasana, our first balance. Lift the left leg up, flex the left foot, and try to align the knee with your hip. One-legged Tadasana. Find your balance. Use the toes on your right foot to really dig in. Bend the right knee. Step open to the left into horse pose. Now, if that's too much, you can make it several steps to get into your horse pose. So in our horse pose, which is a lot like goddess, right? So let me just show you guys what we got. We're squatting. We have our hip creases here. We're externally rotating our legs and our feet, and our hands are here at heart center. And when we first find the pose, it can feel good to try to move the body around a little bit. In fact, you could take your hands and put them right above, just below your hip creases. Bend one shoulder forward and look over the other. Come back to center. Bend the other shoulder forward and look over the other. Come back to center. And then find some stillness as you settle in to your horse pose. On an inhale, we're going to straighten out the legs and the arms as we move into star. I usually bring my feet a little bit more toward neutral here. That's more comfortable for me. My rotation is not quite as much on my feet. Lift up, breathe, look up. Feel like I'm greeting the sun. I'm saying hello, here I am. And on the exhale, I want you to bring the hands down. And let's set up for warrior two. The right foot here. rotates 90 degrees so that your toes are pointing toward the top of your mat. The back foot is more of a 45-degree rotation. So I'm pointing sort of the top left corner of my mat, and my hips are following that same line, sort of aligning to that top left corner. There's a bend in my right knee. And if I feel good about it, you can keep your hands here. That's okay. But if it feels good, go ahead and extend the hands out and then look over your right middle finger for warrior two. Settle in, breathe. Flip your palm and then bring your right forearm to your right knee as your left arm arches up and overhead for extended side angle. Pull the left shoulder back, look up. This should feel familiar, right? Remember our warm up? Then we're going to push them all the way back for reverse warrior. The left hand comes to the left leg. The right arm arches up and overhead for reverse warrior. Windmill both hands forward so that they can frame the right foot. Shift your back toes to come back into your runner's lunge. On an inhale, step the right foot back, high plank. Exhale, you can come all the way down if that feels good and untuck your toes. And hang out here. And then on an inhale, lift your chest up for baby cobra. And then tuck your toes. And on an exhale, push yourself back in to downward facing dog. Or if you're in high plank, you can lower halfway down, untuck the toes, scoop yourself up into upward facing dog, flip the toes, push back to downward facing dog, and then pedal. We'll call that our vinyasa. So when I say take your vinyasa, just take the one that you prefer. Keep pedaling, stretching out that back. Let's do that same flow again on our left side and see how it feels. Look forward and begin to walk your feet up in between your hands, hanging into our nice, comfortable forward fold. Breathing, checking in with your body, checking in with your mind. How are you feeling? How does it feel for you? And on our next inhale, we'll start to roll up nice and slow again, this first time through. One vertebrae at a time. Head up, arms up. And on the exhale, picking up the pace just a little, we'll fold right back down. Inhale the half lift. Your hands come to your shins. The back is nice and long. Look forward. Exhale, fold right back down. Making contact with the mat for safety. So it could be the blocks here. I'll show you. Bend both legs. Lift the right left foot up. Step all the way back into your runner's lunge. Left foot is flat. Left knee and left ankle are aligned. Back leg is extended. I'm up on my toes and a strong runner's lunge. Drop the right knee to the mat. Untuck the toes. Press down on the top of your foot. And on your inhale, lift up for low lunge. Exhale to come back down. Tuck the toes. On the inhale, lift up to high lunge. Little wobbles will keep you there. Breathe here once. On the exhale, push forward. Shift the weight. Elongate the back leg if you can, putting lots of pressure in your left foot. And on the inhale, sweep the arms forward and up as you step into Tadasana. Bring the fingers to touch. The top, lower down to heart center. Take a breath. Lift the right foot up. Bend the knee, flex the foot. Align your right knee with your right hip. Your hands are at heart center in prayer for one-legged Tadasana. Bend the left knee, step open to the right for your horse pose. Move it just a bit, but we'll go a little quicker this time. Exhale and push all the way up into star. Breathe. Let's set up for warrior two. The arms come down. The front foot shifts the left foot 90 degrees, so your toes point to the top of the mat. The back foot's 45 degrees to the top right corner of your mat. Your hips follow that same line. Your arms are extended. You bend that knee, tracking it right over your ankle. I notice that sometimes I have a tendency to go too far here, so I have to pull my torso back to stay aligned over my hips. Look over your left middle finger. Breathe. Flip your palm. Bring your forearm to your knee. Your right arm extends overhead, arching over your head. Pull the right shoulder back. Look up for extended side angle. Move both arms back. Right arm comes to right leg. Left arm comes up and overhead for reverse warrior. Windmill the arms down to frame the foot. On an inhale, step your left foot back. We're in high plank, and let's go through our vinyasa. Down we go. Find your up dog or your cobra, and then ultimately pushing back to downward facing dog. And we're breathing, we're settling in. Now, if at any point in today's practice, or any practice for that matter, you start to feel a little winded or just need to collect yourself mentally, you can widen your knees out to the edges of your mat, bring your feet together, and just sit back in child's pose. When I'm in child's pose, I could have a block to rest my forehead on. And I collect my thoughts, collect myself, check in, see how I feel. And you just catch us up when you're ready. Child's pose is always, always there for you. So we're going to do our flow one more time on each side. We're going to try to pick up the pace a little bit, see how that feels. And then we'll check in with ourselves after we go through that flow, see if we want to move into our peak or if we want to challenge ourselves and do the flow a third time, really picking up the pace. You can't really get it wrong. So we'll see how we feel. Back into tabletop, check your alignment, see that you feel good about it. I won't be using my blocks this time, but I do encourage you to use your props every single time you move through your flow. I got my alignment, I tuck my toes, and on my inhale, I lift the knees and push back into my downward facing dog. Pedal just a couple of times, look forward, and begin to walk your feet up between your hands. Forward fold. One breath here. On your next inhale, let's roll up. A little faster this time. Head up, arms up. And on the exhale, we fold right back down for forward fold. Inhale, a half lift, hands slide up the shins, look forward. Exhale, come right back down to the mat. Make contact with the mat, lift up the left foot, step all the way back into runner's lunge. Lower the left knee to the mat, untuck the back toes, lift up on an inhale to low lunge. Exhale, come back down, tuck the toes. Inhale, lift up into high lunge. Swing the arms back, shift the weight forward. And on an inhale, swing the arms forward, step up into Tadasana. Hands come to touch, lower down to heart center. Lift the left knee, flex the left foot, find your balance, one-legged Tadasana. And on an inhale, we're going to, actually, I think we'll do this on exhale. It'll be easier. Let's try it. Let's exhale as we step open into horse. Yeah, that felt really good for me. And on the inhale, we stretch out to star. On the exhale, we move into our warrior. Check your feet, check your knee, lower your hands. On the inhale, we flip the palm and stretch the arm overhead. Exhale back to reverse warrior. Inhale, frame the feet. Take a breath here. Step the foot back and do your vinyasa. Up dog or cobra, and back into downward facing dog. Look forward and begin to walk your feet up between your hands for forward fold. Inhale, start to roll up. Head up, arms up. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale, half lift. Hands are on my shins. Exhale, come back down. Inhale the right foot back to runner's lunge. Drop the knee, flatten out the foot. Inhale, lift the arms up for low lunge. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, tuck the toe, lift up to high lunge. Exhale, the arms behind you, shift your weight forward. Straighten out that leg, take a breath. On the inhale, reach up into Tadasana. Bring the palms to touch, lower down to heart center, and then step to the right into your horse pose. Inhale into star. Exhale, shift the feet into warrior two. Bend the left leg right over the left ankle and look over your left middle finger and breathe. Flip the palm, left forearm comes to left knee, right arm arches up and overhead, pull the right shoulder back, reverse your warrior, both hands come back, right hand on right leg, left hand stretching back, sweep the arms forward to frame the foot, back into runner's lunge and take your vinyasa. My hands come to the mat, I step back, chaturanga, halfway down, high to low plank, push up, upward facing dog, push back, down dog, and pedal. Feels good. We're just gonna run through that one more time on both sides, picking up the pace. And at any point, if it's too much, you can find your way to child's pose or just slow the pace down for yourself. Look forward and walk up. I'll fear cues this time. You guys can follow me. You know the routine now. Roll up, head up, arms up, fold back down, half lift, fold back down, step your left foot back for runner's lunge, lower your knee, flatten your foot, lift up, low lunge, back down, tuck your toes, lift up, high lunge, push your hands behind you, step forward into one-legged Tadasana. Now you can break it down like we have been, or you can make it more elegant where you step all the way forward with a lifted knee. Hands come down to heart center, bend the right leg, step open into horse, stretch out for star, setting up for warrior, shift your feet, check your knee, stretch your hands out, flip the front hand, bring the arm to your knee and stretch the back hand up and overhead. Pull your shoulder back, reverse your warrior, and then frame the right foot. Step back. Let's do our vinyasa. Nice and quiet that time, so let you feel what you feel. Look between your hands and walk your feet forward. Roll up. Exhale, come back down. Half lift. Come back down. Step the right foot back to runner's lunge. Lower the knee, untuck the toe. Lift up, low lunge. Come back down, tuck the toe. Lift up, high lunge. Reverse the arms, shift the weight forward. Swoop into one-legged Tadasana. Hands come down to heart center, bend the knee. Step open to the right into your horse. Inhale the arms up and exhale as you move into your warrior. Lift the palm, forearm comes to knee, arch the right arm up and overhead, pull the right shoulder back, reverse the arms, reverse warrior, frame the foot, runner's lunge, step back, and do your vinyasa. Nice and quiet for you. Pedal, pedal, pedal it out. And let's walk our feet forward this time and roll up into our Tadasana and relax. Let's talk about our peak pose. Just a little time here for Warrior 3. We won't spend a lot of time on it. It's a challenging pose for a lot of us, especially with balance. You know, balance is one of those things that if you don't use your balance, you lose your balance. So it's something we all need to practice. So one thing you can do when you're practicing and figuring out your balance is try to figure out what's the right stance for me. One way to do that is to be here in Tadasana and just jump your legs out. Now, if you look down at your legs, this is probably the right stance for you. Some of us are competitive and we want to really have a hugely wide stance. But I always tell people, just kind of see where you end up here. That's probably your stance. Or if you want to be at the top of your mat and just step back, that's probably your stance as well. So once we find our stance, what we're going to do is settle in first to Warrior 1 and then move from Warrior 1 into Warrior 3. So if you found it this way, which is cool, you want to take your front foot, your right foot, and rotate the toes to the front of the mat. Take your left foot, 45-degree angle. Now, in the previous Warrior 2, we were pointing our hips toward the corner, but in Warrior 1, we're going to try to shine our hips to the top of the mat. So that means some adjustment on this leg and your stance. You can also change your stance this way, right? So not only the length of the mat, but you can widen out your stance to maybe find better support in your Warrior 1 as you look forward. And maybe inhale the arms up for a strong Warrior 1. And as you transition into Warrior 3, you're shifting the weight forward as you lift that back foot up and off the floor, and having blocks is certainly going to make that transition easier. So the foot comes up. I try to straighten or flatten out my back. Can't really straighten my back, but I can make it feel more flat. Look forward into Warrior 3. Now, your hands can stay right here on the block. You could practice maybe bringing your hands to heart center in a prayer. You could keep them extended out like an airplane, or you could bring them in front of you if you're not going to hit the wall in front of you like I am. So that is practicing moving from Warrior 1 into Warrior 3. Let's try it on the other side. I'll switch my sides for you guys, but you don't need to switch your sides. So again, I start here in the middle of my mat. I'm in Tadasana. I just kind of hop out, check my stance, front foot, left foot this time. The toes rotate toward the top of the mat. Back foot at 45-degree angle. Adjust my stance on the width of my mat as well till I feel really strong, and I can kind of rotate those hips around to face the front of the mat. In a strong Warrior 1. And from there, I shift my weight forward, moving to meet my block. As I lift that back foot up, I'm going to keep the right foot flexed, almost like a half split. But you could point it, just don't rotate it for a half moon style. Keep it more neutral for Warrior 3. And I'll back it up a little bit for you guys. So here, if you can find your warrior, you could try taking one hand off your block. You could try taking the other hand off your block. You could try, can I get them both off my block? Can I extend them? Anytime you just touch right back down into your Warrior 1. So not a lot of practice on our warriors. It's a challenging pose for people. Warrior 1 is challenging. Warrior 3 is challenging. In fact, in Light on Yoga, it says don't hold Warrior 1 for too long because it is a strong pose. All righty, so breathing here, we're going to go ahead and move into our cool down period, which I don't know about the rest of you, but I could certainly use. So you might want to grab a water, towel yourself off as you make your way back to the mat. So we started on the mat, we sort of moved up off the mat for our standing asanas. We're coming back down to the mat, get really rooted into the mat again as we move into our cool down period. Okay, so I want to start my cool down with you in staff pose. So my legs are out in front of me. My hips are kind of rooted in here, setting up nice and tall. Very similar to my easy pose we started in. My shoulders are down, they're back, I feel strong. Maybe a bend in my knee here. In fact, you might just even move those guys around, maybe move your feet around, feel good about it. But when you feel good in your staff pose, we're going to go from a staff pose and include like a forward fold. And I'm going to show you a couple ways to go about that. What's critical is to really keep that nice flat back and try not to hunch your back over or lose your alignment. So I'm here, I'm going to breathe my arms up on an inhale. And on the exhale, I'm just going to fold from the hips forward. My hands could come to my shins, they could come to my knee, they could come to the floor, right? They can come anywhere that feels good. Your peace fingers might hook around your toes in this forward fold. Now you can take an inhale and again, feel very tall and expanded. And as you exhale, maybe you fold a little more, maybe you don't. Your body may give you space. You may choose to use it. You may just be glad you got it. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, create some more space. Maybe fold into it. Inhale one more time, getting tall. Exhale, see if you can create some space in your body. Maybe you fold into it. And you just hang here for a minute. Breathing. Breathing in and out, seeing how you feel. Now we're going to start to sit up. And as we do, I like to, for no particular reason other than I like the sensation of it, I take the palms of my hand and I like to just let them roll or slide across my shins as I start to set up. Just enjoying that sort of skin on skin contact. It just feels good to me to bring sensation to my lower legs there. And when you get it right around to about your knees, I want you to pause and extend both your arms out. And what we're going to do is lower back to Shavasana slowly for just a little bit of ab work. Very slowly moving, almost like you're trying to reach the lower back to the ground first. Slowly coming all the way back in to Shavasana. And then bringing the arms down. I'll make a little adjustment. You may need to adjust yourself on your mat a bit. So we're in our Shavasana, but just for a second, we're not quite ready to call it a practice yet. So what I want you to do here in this Shavasana is to feel strong. So unlike the final Shavasana where we're really relaxing, in this one, I want to feel strong. I want to engage my legs. I want to flex my feet perhaps. I feel like I'm pushing both of my feet against the back wall. Really a strong, supported Shavasana. Now I'm going to bend my right leg at the knee and use my hands to wrap it around my shin or my knee and pull that right leg into my body, keeping both of my feet flexed for strength and power. Pull it in. You could also, if you like, slightly rotate it out to the right, just a little bit there. See how that feels. If it feels funky, move it right back in. And then begin to rotate at the ankle, maybe making big circles with your big toe. Rotate your foot. One direction, the other direction, just loosening up the joint. We did some standing asanas, so our ankles got to work out today. Our feet, hopefully, got to work out today. Take a big inhale here. And on your exhale, allow your left hand to guide your right knee over your body into a twist. So I try to keep my shoulder blades on the mat, and I don't worry so much about where my knee ends up. But keeping my shoulder blades helps me sort of see how I'm progressing in my twist. So I'm going to look to the right. I'm going to move my arm out to the right for balance, keeping my right leg right over there where it needs to be. You can anchor your left hand on the knee if that feels good. A little bit of pressure there. And breathing. And as you're doing this, your twist, again, your body may say, here's a little extra space, but you don't have to take it. You can just be glad you got it. You don't have to stretch into it. No need to go too far. Breathing. Now use your hand to bring your knee back, kind of guide that knee back into place. And then once more, interlace your fingers and pull the knee all the way up. Let's just relax the feet. Notice the difference when the feet are relaxed versus when you keep them flexed. And then let's switch legs. So the right leg goes out, the left leg comes up. Wrap your hands around your shin, your knee, flex both your feet, bringing that tension, bringing that power, and then pull the knee in toward your chest. Again, you could move it slightly out as well, if that feels good. And then rotate, relax your left foot, rotate at the ankle, making big circles with your toe. One direction, the other direction. Take a deep breath as you find stillness. And on the exhale, you're going to use your right hand to guide your left knee across your body. As your left arm comes out, you look to the left for balance, for your twist. Relax those feet. Taking note of the difference in having our foot fully engaged, because everything in the body is connected, right? So when we flex that foot, we're also engaging other muscles. And when we release that foot, we relax those muscles. Breathe here. Breathe in and out. Just your awareness. Just being you. And then use that hand to gently guide that knee back into place. Interlace the fingers one more time. Pull the knee in for your final stretch. Relaxing your feet, which relaxes the muscles along the back of my legs, maybe the front of your legs, maybe all the way up to your shoulders and arms, right? Who knows? We have to feel it for ourselves. And we're going to move our left leg out so that the sole of our left foot is on the floor. So we have a bent knee. And then just bring the right leg up to join. So both feet are on the floor, nice and flat. Knees are bent, settling in, adjusting my stance a bit, moving things around as I set up for my bridge. So in bridge, I'm going to take my hands and just put them palm down to my side, because that will allow me, if I need to sort of find that support and maybe press into my hands a bit as I move into my bridge. Now, when we create a bridge, what I want to do is to think about a curling action. I want you to first lift, almost like a pelvic tilt. Just lift the hips up, tilt the pelvis toward your head, toward the top of your body, and the hips come slightly up off the mat. And the lower back presses into the mat. A little pelvic tilt here. And then bring that further up. So we extend to the middle back, and we continue to curl it up all the way up to our shoulders. Maybe we adjust our feet. Maybe we use our hands to help lift ourselves up into bridge. And wherever you are on your bridge, you just stop when it feels like it's time to stop. I'm meeting resistance. I'm going to stop. And I'm going to breathe here. Breathe in and out. Through my nose, enjoying the stretch, enjoying the feel of my strong, supported bridge. And on the next exhale, we're going to reverse the action. We're going to curl from the top of the back to the middle, then to the lower back, and then last all the way down to relax the hips back on the floor. So your hips were really engaged throughout the bridge. Let's try it again. Pick up the pace if you can. Curl it up, 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 up. Lift, hold, breathe. On the exhale, curl it back down, all the way down. Last one, on the inhale, curl it up, 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 and hold and breathe. And on the exhale, curl it right back down. Now let's bring the soles of our feet to touch as our legs kind of open up out to the side. Your lower half of your body sort of looks like a diamond. All right, so we've got our soles of our feet touching. We're trying to bring the spine back to neutral. You can take the tops of the palms of your hand and place them on the tops of your thighs, just kind of just below your crease of your thigh. You can gently press there, encouraging everything back to neutral. Feels good. All right, breathing. Nice press there. Feel my spine just saying thank you. This feels nice. Then I'm going to take my hands and slide them out and around and behind my legs, on the back of my thighs now, and just use my hands to guide my legs back together, slide them up to my knee and pull both my knees toward my chest. I'm keeping my upper body on the floor, so it's not quite a ball, but my lower body is all curled up nice and tight. It feels good. And then if you're comfortable, we're going to move into happy baby. Some people say, I don't like happy baby. And I say, then certainly don't do happy baby. Just hang out here in ball pose. It's perfectly fine. So I'm going to extend both my legs up as if I'm walking on the ceiling, right? So the soles of my feet are pointing to the top of the ceiling. I'm going to reach up with my hands as I bend my knees to bring my hands to the outside edges of my feet or to my ankles or behind my legs, wherever feels good for me. And then just try to pull the feet down into your happy baby pose. And you can make some adjustments here, play with the width, breathe. If you can find it, then it's nice to rock your baby to the left, and to the right, because you'll get a really nice massage on your lower back, which is why I like this pose. It's really not so much about the pose for me. It's about the feeling I get when I rock the happy baby side to side. It feels good for me. If it doesn't feel good for you, then you certainly should not do it. It's your practice. I'm just your guide, breathing, enjoying that stretch, and then coming back to find some stillness. Again, using your hands. I like to guide my legs back together, guide them back down, pull them back forward. And this time, do lift up your torso, your head, everything into a tight, tight ball. Squeeze it in, really expend all your energy here, and then let it all go. Let it all just start to dissipate as you gently fall out into or stretch out into your Shavasana, which is our final resting pose. And just start to feel everything let go. Body starts to just melt into the mat. Your legs fall open, maybe your feet fall open, your hands are at your side, palms up, palms down. Anything that feels good to you as you release all the energy we've spent the last hour or so building, and you find stillness. I'm going to do a couple of breaths here with you, and then I'm going to let you find your natural cadence as you sink into Shavasana. So with me, let's take a deep inhale through our nose and sigh it out through your mouth. We melt on the sigh. Inhale, fill up your belly. Exhale, sigh it all out. Sigh it out. One more. Inhale through your nose, filling up your entire body. Air's going everywhere. Exhale, sigh, push it all out, melt into the floor. Now just find your natural cadence. Breathe whatever works for you, nice and steady, as you melt into your Shavasana. Now you may, if you're watching, you may see me start to sit up. That just allows me to better hold the space for you. But I encourage you to stay in your Shavasana. And I promise I will come back and get you when it's time. So I'm going to go quiet. I'll be back. Stay where you are. Stay in your Shavasana. We're going to slowly start to come awake, wake up our bodies. No big movements here. You might just start by wiggling your toes or moving your fingers a bit. Maybe move your head side to side as you start to wake up and come out of your Shavasana. Couple of breaths, taking our time to wake up. You might stretch the arms up over your head. See how that feels. Still very relaxed, still feels good. Hands can be at your side. When you're ready, I want you to slowly bend both your knees to bring the soles of your feet flat on the floor again. Bring the knees to touch and then see if you can heel toe your feet out more toward the edges of your mat for a broken bridge or constructive rest pose. Knees are using the weight of each knee to sort of hold each other up so you can still be completely relaxed here. Now we're going to start to roll up on our left or right side, either way. And we're going to keep those knees kind of stacked together. We move our head onto our arm, or that's on the bottom. The other arm also just comes up, stacked, fully stacked up into a fetal pose. You know, Shavasana is sometimes called corpse pose. So I like to think about moving into my fetal pose here as my rebirth, right? I'm coming back awake, coming back to life. When you're ready, you can use your hand in the space that you created to begin to push yourself up into a easy pose. You're sitting on your mat again, you're seated. Both hands can be used to sort of just find your way slowly, gently back into where we started in our practice today. Still rooting down into the mat. I notice, and maybe you did if you become more self-aware, that I automatically put that left leg in front. And so I'm going to, with purpose, just switch my legs. Right? I'm moving with intent. I'm paying attention to what my body needs. And I want to encourage that balance in my sitting posture. Sit up nice and tall, the long back, feeling strong, supported, elegant. Shoulders are down, they're back. Knees could be supported here one more time. Get the most out of our blocks today. I actually like the way this feels. I'm going to start doing this every time. It feels good to me. And just take some breaths here, enjoying the work, enjoying our time together. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale the arms up one more time. Fingers come to touch at the top. Lower them down to heart center. I like to spread my fingers out wide here in my prayer. Touch your thumbs to your chest and then lower your chin to your fingers. Namaste. I hope you have enjoyed this practice with me as we tried to focus on our self-awareness and our sort of intrinsic value, right? That yoga is for you. It's not for your teacher. It's not for the other people in the room. It's a personal thing. And when we pay attention to how we're feeling, I think we get just more out of the yoga. So I'm going to put a closing song on as we're rolling up our mats and doing our thing. You probably won't be able to hear it on the recording, so I encourage you to look it up and maybe give it a listen. It's called I Am Life by India Arya. And I think the sentiment is exactly right for yoga. You know, you're not your hair, You're not your body. You're light. You are light. So thank you for today's practice. Give it a listen. Think about your self-awareness. Namaste.
I am not the voices in